Hundreds of thousands of families, children, seniors, and other members of our community will wake up tomorrow not knowing where their next meal will come from. This includes not knowing if they'll have food for the holidays. Make a direct impact on your community and help give meals to those in need. Join ABC 10 in the 2022 Stand Against Hunger. Every dollar you give, make sure no one goes without a meal this holiday season and into the new year. Donate today to the food bank of your choice by visiting abc10.com/standagainsthunger. As the holidays approach, we anticipate this as a time to be merry, but it's important to acknowledge that not everyone will be in the best of spirits. Some are struggling with sadness, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention wants people to know that whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you are not alone. Joining me today, we have to further discuss suicide awareness and prevention is mental health advocate Jolene Prosser. Thanks for joining us this morning, Jolene.
You bet.
Yeah, so we're talking about suicide awareness and prevention. Why is this so important to you and near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, so about 30 years ago, I woke up to finding out that my father had taken his own life. And this is like 1990, so it was something we didn't know about. There was no education. And so I had to process the loss alone. And what I'm realizing is, you know, this many years later, there's still this constant struggle, this stigma. I figured by now that stigma would be over. He was only 37 years old. He was a veteran. He was in law enforcement 5 years in. It would have been nice for him to have had a 20, 30-year career. He's not here for that. And so, you know, what's really important to me is to get the message out there that you matter, and that it's worth living for tomorrow. It's just people need to understand that there's resources out there.
Yeah, and you're here to talk about those resources. I'm so sorry for your loss, but what can people do to help?
So the biggest thing is to acknowledge. So when people talk about, when you hear suicide, no one wants to talk about it. It is like taboo. And so it creates a lot of isolation for people who are struggling. Who can you talk to? I know with my father in law enforcement, where was he gonna go? You know, I had a friend who lost her husband. He was in his early 30s. It's one of those things where there's just nowhere for law enforcement, I'd say veterans, for them to go when they are sad and experiencing suicidal thoughts. And so what ends up happening is they just take their life.
Yeah,
it's that hopelessness.
Yeah, and you said it's a hard conversation to have, but why is it important that we do have these conversations moving forward to hopefully help?
So people know they're not alone. It's that stigma. This isn't going to end until we have these conversations. And they're hard conversations to have, but they shouldn't be. You know, I know when my father had died, it would be, oh my gosh, I heard your father died. What happened? And I'd say, well, he took his own life. And it was dead silence. And you know, what I found out over the years is that people don't want me to have to relive that moment, so they kind of change the subject. But every day, I'm living with the fact that my father took his life. And so I think it's just that it's people are living in silence, and there's a lot of hopelessness. And so we just need to have a conversation about this, so people start to open up and feel safe to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's resources available. Could you name some of those resources?
Yeah, and so, you know, I'm with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The biggest thing for me in doing that is just that the outreach, going out there and trying to get people to, like I said, to talk about this. Our biggest thing we had a few weeks ago was Out of the Darkness Walk. Everyone came together. It's a day where we're grieving together, but we're also honoring the day together and understanding we need to keep being there for each other and keep with this mission of making it, normalize it. I mean, I don't want it to be like, oh, this is a normal thing, but just where we can have these conversations. And so that's the biggest thing for me with American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Getting involved also would be just having conversations with people and keeping it open, like even like when you're at work. If someone's having a bad day, acknowledge it, talk about it, and just know that it isn't someone being weak, it's not someone seeking attention. So really just being there for people to be able to talk to.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think it's so common for us to just always say, I'm doing fine, I'm doing okay, but to really be able to feel comfortable enough to talk to people when you're not doing okay and trying to eliminate that stigma, it's so needed. How else can people show support?
I would say just by listening. I know for me, I have my own mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, and it's something for years I've been trying to like get it to go away. And I've acknowledged that it is what it is. Like, I do a lot of treatment. I do, different things to try to help with that. And I would say for me, it would be people just acknowledging that these things happen and that sadness comes and sadness goes. But some of us, it's a constant battle that we just have to normalize.
Yeah, Jolene, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A tough discussion to talk about, but needed and important. So thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
I'm going to let our viewers know where they can go for more information. For more on suicide awareness and prevention, visit afsp.org.